a lot of this stuff was implemented by government. 1994, the Great Society Act. A lot of women chose government over men. But this is why I'm glad they working on getting rid of SNAP and Section 8.
That's what we're called as men to do. And the woman, therefore, submits because she submits to someone that she knows has her best interests at heart, that is leading, that is providing, that is protecting.
Temptations are distractions that prevent you from getting to your ultimate goal. And once a man realizes that, he'll be more cautious. He'll be more preventative.
The Highest Point Podcast. More than the pod, it's a lifestyle.
And we set up, we have people in our community from all different walks of life, business owners, veterans, immigrants, African-American, white guys, everybody that is a part of our community and come together and we're sharing our experiences and our stories. So this is our attempt to create that in this setting. So with that being said, I'll start with you, Mr. Benjamin, if you can introduce yourself, who you are, and then we'll go on down the line.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So my name is Benjamin Gibson, retired military, 21 years, multiple combat tours overseas, Marine Corps and Army. Retired in 2018, and since then I've been on the academic journey. Pursued, got my bachelor's, master's, now some of my doctorate. Husband, father, and been here in the Raleigh Durham area for about 6 years now. But above all that, I'm just the center of state operates, and so I just appreciate being and looking forward to this conversation. I think it's something he's at.
Awesome.
First of all, I thank you for your service for sure.
My name is Matt Devon. I'm out of Greensboro, North Carolina. I have a podcast called the Highest Point Podcast, and these settings like this is very important to spread the word, especially like when it aligns exactly to what my show is all about. Just a lot of times people see the end result of someone's success and think those type of things happen overnight, that we know it don't. We know we got to put in work, and those works is not just when it comes to business, but spiritually in your faith and everything that falls in line with that. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation with all of you here today. Thanks for having.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Lance Felder, originally from New York City, Brooklyn, New York, but been in Raleigh now for 80 years, married for 6 years, got a 10-month-old, so she's probably either eating or crying or sleeping. So background, went to play college football for 4 years, New Tiff, the training code, that didn't work out. I wasn't tall like the other brother, but now I do during the day now, electrical engineering, how I got into that, that's by the grace of God and really networking, which is a good skill set that I've learned through actually running our online business, partnering with the Amway Corporation. So just the leadership and training that I was able to get from that has helped me in my corporate career, now opportunities to get around podcasts and people with PhDs and all that type of stuff. So I was a C student, but thank God for, this great country and capitalism that allows somebody who was starting from the bottom or wherever to be able to get around great men of character.
That's awesome. I appreciate you guys for being on. One quick logistical thing. If you're comfortable, can you tell me your ages? I said what you've been eating. 48.
I 39.
39.
Sir, I'm 34. I'm a baby Nick.
34. This is important because it represents all the different layers and the differences that we have, our perspectives of where we are in life. So appreciate it, fellas. And so here's where we start off. The one of the things that has came about today, as a word, is masculine. Simple as that, right? We're men, so that word is obviously associated with us. One of the things I want you guys to talk about a little bit, whether it be your own experience or things that you observed, just first, what has masculinity meant to you, positive and negative? I'll start with you, Lance.
It's all Davey first. It's a masculinity. So I think there's different concepts to that. I think nowadays you have the term toxic masculinity. I think that's where some guys take it above approach, the alpha and those type of stuff, which is nothing wrong with that. Some people may have a more abrupt personality. We have some people a lot more chill I'm a lot more chill. I'm naturally introverted, so I'm more of like a calm type person. But I've heard stories of people had to show their masculinity by either physical violence, or being what's that say, stoic, a lot stoic. But as I started to grow up now, because I didn't have my father in the house, a lot of those things, but I was around coaches, so they taught me a lot of things from pulling your pants up, having standards, being a high performance athlete. So I don't know if y'all know who Deval Ellis is. I know he's big on sisters now. He was one of my trainers, and a lot of the things he's taught me is always be prepared and always be the best position to be ready to go at all points, because if you mess up, you running. That's just his mindset. If you act up, you running. Why? Because you're competing against maybe top athletes and stuff like that. So just having that person that's going to give you perspective of life and how to deal with certain things, how to deal with relationships, emotions, failures, success, stuff like that. So that's kind of what my perspective of masculinity is from a male's perspective. But then I seen the woman masculinity that can get a little interesting, right? You might mess up little feathers, right? Hope I don't mess up the algorithm. But just seeing how it could be a blessing and a curse, depending on how you look at it. I mean, my wife was type A, so we both type A's, but using it as a leverage versus as a liability. I think a lot of times now, a lot of guys feel bad about their wife. Oh, they got this skill, they make this type money. I said, okay, how can I use this to build the kingdom, right? It could be from, if you both pastors, or if you both business partners, or you raising a child, is how can you give them a different perspective of dynamic versus traditionalism of the man is supposed to be the head and woman supposed to do this. But honestly, marriage is supposed to be a way of building wealth, not a way of being in competition. So that's just my perspective on that.
I'll let you follow up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do hear that term toxic masculinity a lot, and I think masculinity is a great thing. And this word toxic in front of it has kind of skewed the true meaning of masculinity. And it shouldn't be the first thing that comes to people's mind now when they say that man is masculine. Sometimes we're thinking negative when masculinity is not negative. To me, from the core of masculinity, that's having the utmost respect for yourself, having restraint, providing, protecting, and also understanding that a man is not limited to just providing and protecting. It's okay for him to get protection as well. Every day, a family is supposed to support each other. It shouldn't be on the shoulders of one individual. It should be support all around. And when I say respect means loving yourself unconditionally. That's true masculinity. That means loving yourself no matter what situation you're in. You either up, you down. If you're at the highest, and when you compare it to your lowest, you still love yourself the same amount. That's having that ultimate respect for yourself, because you can rise above, and you understand that you have faith in God. No matter what situation you're in, you can persevere. That's masculinity when it comes to my thought of it. And I think we should, go away from leading with toxic masculinity, because that's not, the term masculinity is not a toxic thing. It's a great thing if it's cultivated the right way. I think that's one thing we gotta, really try to work on as men, as women, coming together and just not getting it misconstrued.
Hello and welcome. Today's segment is sponsored by Milk and Honey's Health and Wellness Store, designed to help you be your best self. Today's featured product is our Excess Energy Drink, with an amazing blend of B vitamins to help you get going and stay going. For more info, text LINK to 910-301-7752 or email iamliGHTM@gmail.com. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Benjamin, you have a different perspective. I'm not going to say you have a different perspective, but you're a veteran. You're a little bit older. So I'm curious to what you have to say about masculinity as somebody who was probably raised up in a different era from a lot of us as millennials and Generation Z. I'm curious of what you got to add.
I appreciate it. So the first thing that I just want to say, and I agree, is that I think that term toxic masculinity has been weaponized against men and against genuine masculinity. And I think that's a problem. And so with that, for me, I think being a man, being masculine is being that pillar of strength, being that provider, protector, leader, nurturer. Those are the things that encompass a man. A man does lead his household. A man does provide. A man does protect. The joke goes, but it's very true. You hear that rattling at 2:00 in the morning downstairs. Guess who's getting about the bed and going downstairs to check it out, right? I mean, as the Titanic, for an example, right? Who walked out on the boat first? The women and the children, right? While the men stayed, right? I mean, that's what we're called as men to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how we're designed to be. And so I know that may be a little old school, and I know that might not necessarily gel with the current state of what masculinity is, but that's what masculinity is. There's nothing wrong with being a man. There's a reason why we have man and we have woman. And unfortunately, those lines are blurred a lot. And I think we need to unblur them and understand that it's okay that there's a difference. And it's okay that a man walks in his purpose into which he should be, into which God has ordained, designed for us to do, and the woman to walk in that. That doesn't belittle in any way, shape, form, or fashion, okay? A lot of times, things that even have context to where it's like the man is the head of the house, so that means he's spooning over woman. No, he has specific roles, and he is a role to play and to fulfill. And the wife has the same in support of him. Okay. That's why men will call us as love our lives as Christ of the church and died for. That's what we're called as men to do. And the woman therefore submits because she submits to someone that she knows has her best interests at heart, that is leading, that is providing, that is protecting. So we need to get rid of that toxic masculinity, like you said. We need to get back to biblical masculinity. And I think that actually is right there in the word, and it shows with the ultimate example being Christ.
You actually have stepped into the next question here. There's something that you say. How is it that we as men, Christianly, how are we to navigate in this world in which a lot of times we as men have been the problems as it relates to maybe the way we have treated women, from abuse to substance abuse to, challenges with inappropriate sexual behavior, the way we act in the workplace, all these things. I'm not saying that it's all the fault, but my point is how do we now, as men that are trying to exemplify a version of biblical masculinity from a place of servanthood or masculinity from a place of nourishment, how do we define those roles and show those examples in a world where we really have messed up a lot of the things that make us who we are? It's like we made our own bed. Now we kind of have to lay in it. How will we change that narrative? Am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making sense. I think the change of the narrative is already in place, honestly. It's just a lot of times looked over because people just stuck looking at how we used to be. A lot of times, people say that, they grow up without a father. But when I look around, I see, especially people high age, there's a lot of fathers like in their children's lives. And those things are overlooked and act like it don't exist. Every time I go to the daycare, the school to pick up my daughter, I'm seeing a lot of men, right? So we got to stop ignoring that fact, acting like fathers are not present. We got to stop acting like things are how they were. And when it comes to getting things right, the only person that can get those things right the wrongs are the men. And I think the men are righting those wrongs. It's just time's got to catch up and realize and not to get stuck on saying what it used to be and look at what it actually is right now. When you look around in your neighborhood, when you look around in your schools, and don't get caught up and consumed with just your situation. Because if your father or your baby father not in your kid's life, that doesn't mean it's the world. Just look around. It's a lot of them in their lives. A lot of them doing great things. And we can't ignore that fact because we personalizing it and making your current situation the world when that's not how the world works. And that's kind of my thought on that.
Yeah, I think too with social media, I think we was talking about at the table about the algorithms. You download algorithms everywhere you go. So, you got people that don't come outside, they be in their basement, doing stuff on their socks, right? But just understanding that if you're not aware of your surroundings, you don't know what's going on. Right. So, is it a lot of the men's fault? That could be depending on who we talking to, right? If right now, if you study policy, right? If you study history and policy, a lot of this stuff was implemented by government, right? LBJ, number one, right? If you study the 1994, the Great Society Act, a lot of women chose government over men, right? Oh, I want this 6-figure man and this, that, and the third. But if you look at, this may sound wrong, but this is why I'm glad they working on getting rid of SNAP and Section 8. Because now you're kind of seeing, women don't need no man, blah, 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 blah. But as we go into this new technical world, a lot of those white collar jobs that people weren't get paid real well will go away. So we're being forced back into the 90s and stuff like that to where now you need a nuclear family in order to survive. So, we can say, men got to right their wrongs. Now, there was some that would, go to the store, get milk and never come back. I mean, you have some of those, right? So, but it's just, sometimes we got to ask mom, like, did dad leave because of his choice or did you make him leave? Right? So who was me? These women today are not being held accountable. Let's just be honest, right? So not saying all, if I'm trying not to get too specific, but
Speak your truth.
So if you go back to this whole feminist movement, right? Why was Malcolm X killed? You talked about the white liberal. Now, the liberalism of the mindset of a lot of these white women is that they got mad because black people able to vote. Because back then you had to have property, all that type of stuff. But if you look at legislation from that time and then the Right Against Women Act with Clinton, a lot of this was put into place by policies that were against men. That's the first thing. Because now, if I think you were talking about, somebody was talking about domestic violence or something, and a lot of times it's the women that are starting it, but because a man goes to precinct and say, oh, this is what's going on and stuff like that, then they're being either called weak, whatever. So some of it, we can do what we can, we can raise our daughters right, be the men that our daughters want to marry. There's stuff we can't control. But then there's other stuff that we got to really study and learn. Maybe you got to get into politics and learn the system. Maybe you got to invest in certain politicians that have your views. So, a lot of this game is ran by money and propaganda. So if you know how the enemy works, right? We all read the Bible, but how many people actually read Outwitting the Devil, right? Now you're seeing a lot more women in the church. You don't see, now some may believe, maybe against women preaching. I think one of the greatest, I can't remember the story exactly, but one of the greatest people who led people to Christ was a woman, right? Y'all may know her more than me. Y'all would probably more biblically sound to me, but just understanding there's things that women can do that men can't do, and there's things that men can do that women can't do, and sometimes things are, flip-flop depending on situations. It's just understanding that we got to take our responsibility, do what we can, and if they don't respect it, on to the next. I mean, how many women out here in the world that want a good man, right? Right. So
I'm gonna ask a question. Midris, come to you first. With that being said, let's talk about the relationship dynamics, right? Because at the end of the day, we are men. A lot of us have spouses, partners, that the case is. How do we now take those things that the brother said here? We've written some wrongs. I agree with you 100%. I got an 8-year-old. I'm her father. I'm everywhere. I'm at the dance studio. I'm doing hair. We cooking and we doing it all, right? My father wasn't like that, but I made a decision that this is my child. I enjoy my child. Hey, I have a wife. I've been married almost 20 years. But if something happens to my wife, me and the child got to go on, right? Me and the child have to go on. And she needs to know that not only is daddy going to be the person to beat up the monster in the closet, daddy's going to proud with you too, right? So with that being said, how do we navigate in difficult relationships? Difficult relationships as we're meeting more women, more children that are toxic. And I say toxic, not in the sense of like they're bad people, but as we are starting to step into the trauma of others, that reputation of Black men are not fathers, or that reputation that veterans are always angry or always whatever the case is, how will we now navigate in today's society, post-Me Too movement, Donald Trump propaganda, and have those good relationships and dynamics? I'll start with you, Virginia.
But that's a loaded question.
Oh, yeah, that.
But I think the first answer and everything is to get back to the biblical principles and the biblical worldview. I think that's the first thing that we need to do. I think that briefly, that's the last question. I think, yes, me, I lived a lot of years unsaved. I did a lot of wrong things. But here's the thing, that I have been saved by grace. I've been forgiven. So the first thing is we got to forgive ourselves and move on from now. Okay. Now into relationship, and I have dealt with veterans are always angry. I have dealt with the company doing their slide presentation about the 3 most difficult employees. Number 1 was prior incarcerated. Number 2 was prior drug addicts. And number 3 was veterans. And that was out. So yes, there are some stigmas out there. There are some stereotypes out there. But here's the thing, okay? When you understand who you are in Christ, when you understand who you are when it comes to following God and what being a follower and an ambassador of Him says, the world is just noise, because that's what your focus is. And when you live for Christ and you understand who you are in Him, the outside noise don't matter. If here's the beautiful thing about that, you're able to evade and you're able to avoid those who are not on the same page and share the same mindset. And when you get around like-minded people, that's when you have something beautiful. Briefly, I was a single father. Okay. I was a single father, and I was active duty military. I actually came back from Afghanistan on emergency leave because my kids were missing. And their mom had taken them and went all over the country. And they were originally living in El Paso. They were found in Baltimore and everywhere. And so when all that comes up, it was like, oh, if you're a single dad, okay, well, dad's going to step up to the plate and dad's going to do what he has to do. So at the same time, while God was working on me, I understood that my trajectory, my plans had changed. My plan was to continue serving in the military for another 6, 7, 8 years. God's plan was, I have now redeemed you, I have regenerated you, I have saved you, and now you're going to be getting out of this service and you're going to come into this service. And what He used was he being a single father and needed to be there for my kids. So guess what? If you have to sacrifice, which is a word that a lot of people don't want to use, well, you got to sacrifice your job, your career, your hobbies, or whatever it is to provide for your children. That's what it is. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it just don't work. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that at that point, I had a crossroads. I could have stayed in the military and continued to put myself first. Okay. And guess what? Except for the Chevy, I got to check in 2 weeks. I had all the benefits to think. Okay. So to sit there and to be like, okay, I'm about to give up this career, this certified chef that I got, this guaranteed chef. What am I going to do? But see, I had faith in God. I had trust in Him that He was going to lead and that He was going to provide and that He had a path to plan and purpose for my life and that He designated this time for me to call an audible, if you will. He also gave me my boys and was like, okay,
Here you go. What are you going to do? And so now I have been raising him up with, and here's the beautiful thing about God, right? Was, don't you know, within a year's time frame, he brought in a beautiful, godly woman who has walked and stood by my side every step of the way, through retirement, through starting ministry, through academic journey, and through raising these young boys to become young men, not just young men, but young Christian men. And so that's what it's about. It's about putting God first and having him lead you and to guide you. And when you put him first and you allow him to instruct, you never gonna go wrong.
I love that. I love that transparency. Thanks for sharing that, Benji. Matt and Lance, I have a specific question for you two. All right, I'm gonna set the example. I'm not bragging, but I have a doctoral degree. I'm a Christian. I'm a father. So sometimes when I'm in the grocery store or I'm at a dance practice and my wife is not around, the sisters be looking at me. And they be like, this brother got it going on. How do we as men avoid temptation in today's society? Especially when if I look at my phone and I put on the gram, woo. Because I feel like sometimes as a man, I could be minding my business. And it just comes to your front door. And it's not always women. It's opportunity with jobs. It could be anything. So Matt and Lance, how do you find this so avoid the temptation as successful Christian?
Well, the first one. So, the Instagram is a funny one, right? So, following the algorithm, you know, world of algorithms. I think the one thing about Instagram, you can always change your algorithms, sure. But outside, for me, it's easy because nowadays, like if you look at I'm a numbers guy too. If you look at the statistics of HIV and all this type of thing, I'm like, I ain't trying to deal with it. I think it's easier to get caught nowadays or at then with even, you know, stuff like that. But I think nowadays, if you understand your purpose and stuff like that and not trying to destroy your family, because I know somebody personally that lost his family because of temptation. So he talks about his story and stuff like that. But seeing a lot of people's mistakes and actually doing it before you get married kind of makes it a lot easier. Because I think when a lot of guys, you know, what they call late bloomers, they get older, they get a little swag, they get a little, you know, they get a little, you know, up there. I think once they start getting that attention, then it's like, oh, okay, I can do what I want. And then you're at the third, then you get Shannon Sharp. About right. You get, what's the other guy that got caught? Basketball player. Oh my gosh.
On the basketball?
Oh, the lights he was giving a woman $60,000 and he never met me on Instagram. You know what I'm talking about? So I think a lot of these lanes now don't know how to. They don't understand women. They don't understand the tricks that women play. So if you know the game, then you know how to avoid it, right? So I mean, there's times when I do network with women, but if they're in the gym, I don't know if I say this in church, but a lot of times I tell my wife to say, yo, this 304s is out. But, you know, they come in the gym, half clothes, this, and the third, I'm going this way, right? But then there's times when they're dressed very nice. I may have a conversation like one young lady, she's pushing 40, but she was younger, and she had a shirt on Elevation. But there's some times where women can be an asset because at the end of the day, they may have a network like in this Annie, or they can open opportunities. But it's just figuring with this head versus the other head. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's just a skill set to learn and thinking about the pros versus cons. If I do this short-term pleasure, will be the long-term result.
Right, 100%. I definitely agree with what you're saying there. I think it also boils back down to masculinity. When I was saying masculinity, that's respecting yourself. And another layer, that's loving yourself unconditionally. And when you love yourself unconditionally, you'll try your best not to fall short or come to anything that's going to prevent you from getting to your ultimate goals. Temptations are distractions that prevent you from getting to your ultimate goal. And once a man realizes that, he'll be more cautious. He'll be more preventative. But that's one thing that helped me a lot was being preventative.
You know what I'm saying? Just taking steps to avoid certain situations. Not saying that I can go here and not allow anything to happen. Just don't go there at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, take those preventative steps, because you just never know that when you always dreamed of the fits, everything in the category that can break you down might be there. So you got to understand, you got to move in preventative ways to keep yourself strong as well. Understand your strength. Cool. You cool. You strong. You're powerful, but it's kryptonite out here in this world. So, you know, and so when you think about that being preventative and also understanding, like, I got the ultimate respect for myself. And I love myself. So I'm not going to do anything that strays me away from my faith. I'm not going to do anything that strays me away from my family. And just being, you know, cautious and understanding the bigger goal and not allow distractions to stop you, because that's all it's going to do. And then after you do, because, hey, I'm young. I've been out there in the world before. I have fell short to temptation before. And I understand afterwards, I'm like, that was not worth it.
It was not that good. Yeah.
That was just like, it was a waste of time. I could have been doing something else, and I don't went over here and wasted my time. Why would I do that? And so, you know, just like you was talking about, learning from your mistakes and things that you have done and understanding, it's not good for the big picture at all. It's only going to slow you down. It's going to make you feel like you're not worth what you truly are.
Yeah. I appreciate that because, like you said, temptation is going to always follow us no matter what. We're all going to fall short. But I learned in life to preventative maintenance to make sure that I understand what my strengths and weaknesses are, where I fall short, so where I don't necessarily. And I think for me, and this goes on, and this is kind of a tee up for our last topic here about fathering. But I've learned to actually treat my wife like a partner. But what that means is partners have to have very difficult conversations.
Yes.
And those difficult conversations are things that are not always, they don't always sound good. Sometimes I have to tell my wife, you're not meeting me where I'm at right now. I'm here. I kind of need you to come with me here.
Right.
But also understand that in masculinity, I'm not her boss. Maybe at that time she can't meet me where I'm at. Maybe I need to compromise in areas. So this brings me to the last topic of discussion, and this is a big one: fatherhood. I think all three of you are fathers, right? You have a 10-month-old. Lots of fun. How old is your daughter now?
I had a 4-year-old and a 14-year-old.
Oh man, so you get
Yeah.
two daughters?
No, son is the oldest, daughter is the youngest.
Okay, so now you got a teenage boy. Man, I know you want to jack him up sometimes.
I have had to. Yeah, he's a big boy.
Oh, man, he think you better than you, right?
Yeah. He like 256
Really?
Yeah.
Don't let him beat you. Don't let him beat you in those sports match. But
That ain't happening.
there you go.
That ain't happening.
But then you got the 4-year-old Dr. Princess, who probably really run the house.
She thinks she do.
So my question is, and I start with you, Benjamin. What has fatherhood really taught you? Like, and I know you have a story. You've already started to share it as a single father. What has fatherhood taught you? Patience. You could just end right there.
Mic drop.
Patience. After I got custody of my two boys, I could tell something was a little different with the younger. And, you know, that's another thing that I say, and then I'll get back to it, but attentiveness. Yeah. You got to be attentive, you know, to your children. You know, you got to see, you know, you got to be able to realize and understand and see if things are a little off or a little different. And I say that from just health-wise and other things to where, you know, okay, they normally happy-go-lucky the past 2 weeks or the past, you know, week. They've been a little different. Okay, so just being attentive, obviously patience, but I realized something was a little off. And so I went and I had him diagnosed. He has autism. And so, you know, at first that was a huge blow. Yeah. Right? That was a huge blow. But I looked at it And I'm like, okay. And then I'm gonna tell you this, and I, you know, I thank God. And somebody may be like, thank God. I thank God because He chose me to raise that woman. Because He said, He's mine, but while He's there, you're responsible. And I'm entrusting you with Him and with all that He has. So the first thing is patience. Second thing is the attentiveness. And then I'll keep it short. The third thing I would say is kids truly want presence, not presence. So what do I mean by that? They want presence, 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 right? They don't want presence, PRESENCS. Okay? They want you to be there. Okay? They want you to ask a question. Now, and I know we said this, I'm sure you come to like, we were all boys, we were all teenagers, you know. You come home from school, how was school? Fine. Got a long board answer, right? Fine. Oh, everything's going cool? Yeah. Right? And so you suck. But they want that. They want the interaction. They want the engagement. So I would say, you know, obviously you have to be attentive. You have to have patience. You have to have presence. And then that unconditional love. And that right there, I think, is a recipe for success that can cover pretty much any and everything which you're going to engage in and deal with when it comes to raising kids.
That's great. Matt, Lance, I'll let you guys finish it off.
Yeah, sure. That thing we say, don't take things personal. In my mind, I was thinking about, forgiveness, that falling in line, but not taking things personal. It makes me think about my 14-year-old. Now we have a blended family. So I came in his life when he was 2 years old. Of course, him and his mom, we got married. But, he has a biological dad as well. So I have to understand that some of the things that, maybe he say or do, it's not all his fault. There's some situations where he was coming up, his father tried to turn him against me. But I had to always understand and know hey, this is not his fault. And then he's going to get old enough to realize what's really real one of these days. You just got to be patient and continue to be consistent throughout, no matter what. So when it comes to those, those little moments, because we have many great moments, but there might be a moment here or there. You got to let that fall off your back. It might sting, it might hurt a little bit, but you got to understand, hey, that's not truly how he feels. That is coming from somewhere else that he don't even understand yet. And then also this happens to biological parents too. Kids are disrespectful. You know what I mean? It's just and you can't just blame everything on that. You know what I mean? So I think about the forgiveness piece as being the father. Also understand that fathers need empathy as well. Something that I went through where I was afraid to even say anything. I was so busy worried about my wife. I don't want her to feel any type of way. We lost a child through an ectopic pregnancy. So that hit me hard. But, I didn't want my wife to feel guilty because she couldn't give me the child that I wanted. So I tried my best not to show her my pain, but I was hurting a lot. And I had to figure out ways. And then, you're a political guy, that even when it comes to paternity, those paternity leave, a lot of those things wasn't even available for men back in the day. It was only available for women. Men don't have pain when it comes to their child, either not being here or either being born. Why not a man have time to be with a child away from work and paid just like the woman? A man, he's the empathy and that respect and that time to build that relationship in their early stages as well. And it just makes you realize that when it comes to fatherhood, and something I want to make sure I translate in the proper way to my son, it's okay for you to be vulnerable. That doesn't make you look weak. But I also got to provide that space to where he feels comfortable to do those type of things. And so with me, I think about I'm always thinking about my wife, her feelings. I don't want her to feel this way, but also I got to take care of me as well, because if I don't, how in the world am I going to be able to adequately
provide and protect for my family. And so those are things that I really think about. I try to self-reflect on. And as being a father, I didn't really think of those things until I became one and experienced some things.
I appreciate you. Man, a couple of you a second. Piggyback on something you said. And so you said about patience and taking care of yourself. Because as a man, I had a present father, but his idea of fatherhood was just being a provider. No emotions, no real conversation. He's a great man. But there were the things that I was lacking from a nurturing standpoint. And then when I got married early, I got married very early in life. So now I'm pretending to be us. Right. I'm looking on TV. I'm basing it off things that I saw, and I'm pretending to be a husband. And the one thing that you said in that is not only am I being toxic in some ways, I'm also negating my needs because I don't even know I had asked for them. Right. So now I'm looking at my wife like, well, what are you here for? Because I expect for her to read my mind because she's a mind reader, right? Right? What are you here for? Now I'm blaming all my problems and trauma on her. But something happened the night that we gave birth to my daughter. I will never forget this night. My wife is over there asleep, tired, then gave birth. And my daughter wakes up and she's giving that little, and I go over there for the first time and I hold her. And it's just me and her. It's 2 a.m. And I look at this child that we had made and I'm like, okay, I get it. I do not have all the answers. And that's it. Like, I need to say when I need help. I need to say, I need to be empathetic because this thing right here is perfect. And I'm a steward of it. And I enjoy this. God gave me this child. So the children, my daughter has exposed me to more feelings about myself than anything. Lance, is that something that you can relate to? Because you got the 10-month-year-old. So you
ain't got freshman, you said? I think also too, this is actually important about the fatherhood, also who you have your child with. I think that's the most important thing because the one thing I've understood is God over man, man over woman, woman over child. A lot of times, I mean, if we go back to traditional ways, right? The man was work, getting the bread, getting the bacon. The woman was home raising child. So back then, we knew how important, it's still important today, you knew how important it was to actually make sure we have a nurturing spouse. I think today with the two parents out of work, stuff like that, I think you got to be more strategic. So I give you how my brain works. I'm more of a systems guy, so this is probably a little weird. So I go back to the night when my daughter was born. Now, I don't recommend this, but my wife knows me, right? Business comes first, but I'm still there, right? So I'm on a Zoom call while my wife is giving birth. But well, when we found out, or when I found she was pregnant, I'm like, oh crap. Now, growing up how I grew up, I didn't have a dad. So now, thank God I have men in my life that have been married for years and some have 5 kids, they go. But this morning now, the foundation is important. So the reason why I do what I do is to build a foundation, to be that example, to be her hero, right? Because I think a lot of kids now have athletes and all these type of sinful people, right? That are their heroes. But a lot of that, we have to earn that respect from our child, however they see what respect is. But now her being 10 months old and seeing her develop, just giving her the time, maybe it was like an hour or two a day or maybe 30 minutes. I don't think you have to give them all day, but just give them that specific time so that they know, okay, you have time dedicated for them, but know that, your parents got to take care of responsibility. We got a mission that our family has to accomplish, not just for ourselves, but for other people. That's one of the big things. Two, your patience. I mean, I'm naturally impatient, but I understand learning now with reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, the Art of Dealing with People. like you said, I think, you're here, your wife was here, you want to bring up. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. And as I'm learning this stuff now and not having a dad, I think that's the one thing that actually kind of negates a lot of things because now you're figuring it out. Yeah. Right? Because you grew up watching the Cosby. Yep. Now, that's the good side, right? Go to school, experiment, raising 3 kids. But I think what a lot of men are going through now is Al. Y'all remember Al? Al from Love and Marriage? Yeah. You remember that movie? Actually, it's funny. It was written by a black man, but what a lot of men were going through, like the wife and the kids is being X, Y, and Z, but the dad is just sitting there suffering. Yep. And I think that's why sometimes now a lot of men don't either want to get married or have kids because they saw that side. They don't see enough successful families actually building something. But learning what I'm learning now is just, like you said, patience, understanding the purpose why we do what we do, that time is important, right? Rather if it's do what you got to do. So once they get older, put yourself in a position. You want to homeschool. I want to create the narrative to where that our Christian values is better than the world, right? Because we now start to see a lot of the Muslim community growing, but they outpacing us when it comes to how they feel about their faith, the kids that they're having, the values. They're very conservative in their values, and they will die for it. But how many Christians will die for their beliefs? How many Christians will put themselves in a financial position, a spiritual position, an educational position, emotional position to be able to take care of their kids? If I remember somebody said this. If you don't have enough money or resources to take care of yourself, the money will be your God because that's all you're pursuing. But if you can solve both problems by either creating something that can that you can do that will build that income so that you can not have to give 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours to the job, but give some of that time back to your family, to yourself. I mean, I'm running this I know I love because I run 5Ks every weekend, even though I don't like running, but it's the pursuit, right? Every man has to rank up the pursuit of happiness. That's what the Declaration of Independence says. It's the right in the pursuit of happiness. And because we have the freedoms here, do we appreciate the freedoms to actually pursue what we want, but also take care of our family? Because if you kill the nuclear family, which certain policies, certain politicians do, you kill a nation, you kill a country. That's why if you read Karl Marx, if you read anything that leftist policies say, the first thing that they will do is attack the head of the snake, which is the man. They take God out of school. Some churches taking God out of churches. And some parents don't have God. So when we going to get God outside on Sundays, right? Now we got social media influencers. We have events like this. So men have to get around people who's going to pour into them. If they don't have fathers in their lives, get around great men that can, give some perspective, some knowledge, some wisdom, and, do the best that they can and just take that responsibility because your child's future depends on the actions that you take today. Yeah.
Fellas, it's been a great conversation. I have to admit, it's probably been one of the better conversations I've had in a long time. If anything, I've enjoyed just this interactive with you guys. Diversity is up here, whether it's age, race, all the things. So again, I appreciate it. And thank you for giving me honest thoughts and opinions. And listen, what we did here today is just year one. Yeah. We're going to have that. So be prepared to come back and keep sharing and expounding. And again, I appreciate you.
The Highest Point Podcast.
More than the pod, it's a lifestyle.